Think we're live.
We are live.
Yeah, okay. Welcome everyone to a special meeting of council on Thursday, November 21st. We'll call the meeting to order at 3:33, and I'll call on one of our councillors in attendance. Yes, Doreen, Councillor O'Sullivan, if you could read the land acknowledgement, please. Thank you. You're on mute, Doreen.
I'm sorry. Okay. Take two. The municipality of North Grenville acknowledges that the municipality operates on the territory of the Anishinaabe. We recognize all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples who now call North Grenville their home. We respect and support the need for cultivating a strong relationship, and we commit to Indigenous informed decision-making to foster the path towards reconciliation.
Thank you very much, Councillor O'Sullivan. Next, we move on to the approval of the agenda. We just have one item on the agenda today. That's regarding the award of the organizational and compensation review contract. So I'm looking for a mover and a seconder to approve the agenda. Thank you, Councillor O'Sullivan, and thank you, Councillor Strathaghan. Okay, so over to you, Ms. Dunlop. Are we going to have that report up on the screen? There we go. Thank you very much. If you can make it a little bit larger, whoever's driving, that would be appreciated. Thank you.
So thank you very much. I don't have anything specifically prepared, but just as because time is of the essence to get this item awarded. And I appreciate the consideration of having this council meeting prior to my departure for vacation. So we did put out an RFP on October the 9th for both the organizational and compensation review. We received 7 submissions. Those submissions are included in the report. They are from True North HR, HR Advantage, Pesky and Associates Human Resources Consultants, Gallagher Benefit Services, Mercer Canada, Oxero, and Strategy Corp Inc. We did review the criteria of all 7 submissions based on the RFP criteria provided, which were for experience, reputation, and resources at 35%, work plan and timelines at 30%, financial 20%, and quality of proposal and added value 15%. All 7 did receive points ranging from 54.25 points to 85 points. Strategy Corp was the evaluation matrix winner with 85 points, although they were not necessarily our group's expected submission. They were surprisingly solid and complete, and felt that they were the best value for the money to provide the product. The intent is to make sure that we have a compensation package that not only entices recruitment, but also has a retention component to it. We're going to be looking as part of this, not only at the staff comp review, but do we have the organizational services or the organizational employees available to complete the services expected, as well as are they reporting to the right person? In other words, should bylaw be under planning? Should certain things be under the clerks? So we're looking at the organizational responsibility or the organizational chart, making sure that the proper person reports under the proper function, as well as do we have all the right things covered for the service expectations of the residents of North Grenville and Council of North Grenville. The other is this will include the library. It will include council compensation. It will include all the other components that we think need to make sure that they are tweaked and considered, including the fire chief. for calls. Standby pay, I think, was one of the other things that have been mentioned by staff over the time, as well as making sure that we are compliant with our pay equity regulations for evaluations. So we do recommend Strategy Corp at 85 points. They were not the least expensive or the most expensive. Oh, actually, yes, they were. They were the most expensive, except for Mercer, which gave a range. And they were valued at $99,980.50 plus HST, which brings it up to $112,977.97 inclusive of HST. We do get a rebate of 87% of the HST value, which brings it the project cost after rebate to $101,770. We had a budgetary allotment of $100,000 for this project, but that is within 2% of the budget allotment, which is within range identified in the procurement and budget bylaws. So that completes my brief report, and the team, the evaluation team, which are included in this council meeting today, would be happy to answer any questions.
Great. Thank you very much, Karen. Before I have I've got one question of my own, but I'll open it up to the rest of council. Councillor O'Sullivan or Councillor Strachian, if you've got any questions, type in. Anything? Go ahead, Councillor O'Sullivan.
Thank you. Is this for compensation and probably look at benefits and
The intent is to look at the full compensation package. Yes,
package? Is that for 2025 or beyond 2025?
it will be for 2025 and the next 5 years is the intent of the review.
Okay. And it will include library and council then?
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Strachian, anything?
Yeah, I'm not sure what has changed for the council compensation review since the last one. It's only been 2 years since we've looked at that, so perhaps if you could shed some light onto that, that would be appreciated. And I guess just looking at the cost, I only had a chance to glance at that quickly up on the screen. It was moving around a bit. So I guess the cost difference between the ones that were slightly lower, I appreciate that. Thank you. Sorry, just looking at this for comparison. The differences in the cost between the ones that are the top rated as well as looking at the cost here. So the second one is still about the same. So most of them are in the same ballpark, and then you wind up having a bunch that are a lot lower. Okay, that so no cost, no questions about the cost. It is what it is. But yeah, for the just if you could add some context to why we would go through another compensation review for council at this stage, given that we just had one not too long ago. Be appreciated.
In my
Thank you.
mind, from a procedural standpoint, sorry, through you, Chair, in regards to how and why, I would want the cycle to be the same moving forward. So when a comp review is done, a comp review is done on all the organizational employees as well as council at the same time. So this puts it in the same regular rolling.
Okay, that makes sense to me then, to at least align everybody in the same review process. Okay, no, other than that, I think it seems fair. I mean, we have points and percentages assigned for evaluations for a reason, and I think if we go and choose something against that, there would have to be an outstanding reason to go against what was already previously set out. So I'm comfortable with that evaluation. I do have one other sort of quick question, and this is more so just it would apply beyond this kind of RFP. But when we're reviewing RFPs, the review team is aware of which company has come in with which bid. Is that correct? Like it's not there's nothing that's redacted from in the review process. Is that correct?
Through you, Mr. Chair, that is correct. They get the full RFP evaluation as well as the chart. Melissa coordinated the chart. All four of us independently reviewed, provided our markings, and then we sat down as a group to review, just to make sure that one of us didn't miss something. that the other did, but then Melissa took our 4 individual evaluations and averaged them.
Okay, perfect. That sounds like a standard evaluation process that I'm familiar with as well. So I appreciate that. Thank you. That's it.
Councillor O'Sullivan?
Thank you, through you, not Madam Chair.
Mr. Chair, yes.
um, to Karen. So what is the timeline for them to come back with the end report, given that budgeting for 2025, you'd have to know salaries, et cetera, for evaluating or for creating the budget for 2025, unless you end up having to do retro and go back to, would it go back to January 1st? Compensation for the year, is it January to December?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the report is due in March. The final report is due in March. We have anticipated a specific COLA in the salary grid currently for presentation to council probably late January. So we will have a slightly later budget cycle for 2025, but we will probably have some preliminaries. There will also be a council meeting with the consultant to discuss what is council expecting. Do you want to be at the 50-50 mark regards to the market, or do you want to be at the 60 mark or the 75 mark? Of course, we would never recommend anything above the 80 mark, but what does council expect as part of the grid? So I think I can't specifically answer that it will be ready and included in its entirety in the 2025 budget as presented in January. But of course, it will be, depending on the outcome, staggered in, should it be a heavy burden, and council will be part of that decision.
Okay, thank you. And the other question is, the other bids that were submitted, do they know our municipality as well as Strategy Corp obviously knows us because we've worked with them previously? So I don't know whether them being aware of our organization, does that lighten their workload, even though they were still a high estimate, high quote?
If I may, Mr. Chair, through you, Gallagher actually did our last compensation review, so they should have understood the municipality the best in my mind. But some of the submissions obviously understood that what North Granville is and its growth numbers included saying, well, you've just done growth numbers, and understanding a little more about North Granville, although they've never worked with us. Some were absolutely thrown on a piece of paper to say, hey, I'm going to put a bid in because, hey, I may get it, I may not. So there was a full range, but you're correct. There was probably some benefits with Strategy Corp's understanding of what and who North Granville is.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions from council before I get into mine? No? Okay. Karen, Ms. Dunlop, so 5 years ago, Gallagher did our comp review. When we send out an RFP, do we list the approximate value of the contract? I mean, is there any indication what the value is? I'm just noticing we've got two quotes are basically, $99,999, right?
Within $60 of each other.
Yeah.
Certainly. In regards to the budgetary allotment, we don't include it in the RFP, but it was one of the questions asked, and it was answered in one of the addendums. So all 7 bidders had that our budgetary allotment was the $100,000. Yes.
So prior to them quoting, they knew basically what the envelope was worth.
That is correct.
Okay. My final question is, there was mention about what council expects, and I'm sure we wouldn't be shy in sharing that information. But in terms of recruiting staff, I think it's safe to say that, as Councillor Strakoyan has said in the past, that we're in a league of our own. And, when you're doing a compensation review, you look at other similar municipalities. Are we the orange amongst a basket of apples? I mean, can we really be compared with any other at least in Eastern Ontario or Ontario community, I think we might be unique. So I
We
think
are-
that,
You're
so
correct.
yeah,
Sorry.
I don't know how, yeah, no, I'm just wondering how valuable a comparison is. And when we get to talking about 50, 60, 70% or whatever, for staff, I'm talking about, not necessarily for council. I mean, right now, are we at 60%? Is that where we are currently landed? In terms of
I'm sorry,
staff
I don't know
compensation?
what the Gallagher recommendation was. Maybe Melissa would, as HR coordinator, would be able to provide that background or not.
Yeah. I seem to recall, now my memory's not perfect, but when Gallagher did it 5 years ago, they were looking at the 60 percentile for staff compensation. That's where they wanted to be. That's where they expected to be. I don't know if that was an increase or what, because prior to 5 years ago, I wasn't around at the council table. So yeah, I guess that'll come up when Strategy Corps talks to us, assuming that we're all in agreement that they should get the contract. Okay. Any other final questions before I look for a mover and a seconder? No, not seeing anyone. Would someone like to move? Oh, maybe we should read. I wonder, Chloe, if you can just read the resolution. I don't have it right in front of me before we ask for a mover.
Absolutely, Mr. Chair.
Yep.
The resolution is that council award the request for proposal number HR 24-02 to Strategy Corp in the amount of $112,977.97, HST inclusive.
Great. So looking for a mover for that?
I will.
Councillor O'Sullivan, seconded by Councillor Strachan. Call for the vote. All in
Just,
favor? Oh, yeah, sure. Go
I
ahead.
just have one point of clarification. Sorry.
Sure. No, I should have asked for a discussion because it's
that's okay.
not just got on
No.
the table, right?
My awkward pause was I was trying to figure out what I was supposed to be calling you this evening, Your Highness. That is where my mind went. The acting.
I don't know what you're supposed to call me.
Acting chair, I guess, or yes,
Mr. Mayor,
chair for this evening.
Mr.
Sorry.
Madam Mayor.
Could you, Karen, I guess, could you confirm where the funds are coming from for this particular item, please?
Certainly, through you, Mr. Chair, there is the budgetary allotment of $100,000 for the comp review, org review, included in the 2024 budget.
Okay, that's what I thought. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that makes it easier because it's within 2% from what I read in the report. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, great. So it's on the table. We've had a very, very brief discussion. So I'll call the vote now. All in favor?
Aye.
Great, that's carried. So next we move on to the confirmation bylaw. Does that need to be read? No.
Nope, just the resolution.
Okay.
Here.
To confirm the proceedings, looking for a mover again and a seconder. Okay.
Sure.
Councillor Strachan, seconded by Councillor O'Sullivan. Not that I have much choice in the matter. And so all in favor, let's carry that and move on. Okay. Next we move on to adjournment. I'm looking for a mover and a seconder for that as well. Thank you, Councillor O'Sullivan, seconded by Councillor Strachan. And the mayor loves to say there's no discussion on this item, so we can go straight to the vote. But before we do, thank you everybody for attending virtually.
Karen,
Yes,
can you stay on for a minute after, please?
certainly.
We want to wish
Thanks.
you happy vacation.
Well,
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. All
we'll
right.
have to end it because it's live streamed.
All in favor?
Thank you.
All in favor?
Okay, all right.